I was telling Dustin I just got hurt playing golf, which is one of my favorite things, and so went home last night. I just totally depressed. Got in bed. I'm like, man, I can't believe I hurt myself again. And I got up this morning to do my devotional, and I'm reading a book called The Miracle Morning. Hal Elrod. This guy's been through some crap, right? And when I mean he's been through some crap, he basically beat cancer the first time he got hit head on by a drunk driver. Was told he'd never walk again. 20-some years old, number 1 salesperson for Galvanize, which there's a ton of people that have been successful out of Cutco. That's crazy. Whatever they're doing over there, whatever they're putting in the water is something, man. So he makes it through this. He beats this. 10 years later, he gets this cancer that's very aggressive. He's told that if he doesn't take the worst chemo you can, and within days, that he's got weeks to live. Does all this chemo, beats it. And is now really has had a tribe forever. We're going to give him some love on Galvanize. Had this tribe forever, about how to make miracles, how to be a miracle maker, and he's actually created this formula, and it's unwavering faith and unlimited effort. Right? It's like if you really are committed to making something happen in your life, then you have unwavering faith that this thing will happen. And then if you're committed in that, you commit unlimited effort to make that happen. And it just kind of reminds me like how we get caught in our first world problems. You know what I mean? I mean, we think we make a couple mistakes, or the business goes wrong, or we miss a deal. I mean, how does that resonate with you? When you're hearing that, like somebody who's done all these things, what does that make you think about what you've learned in your own business path?
No, I think I was just having this conversation with my wife this week, ironically. I get fired up when things don't go right.
Right.
And people that know me know that.
Yep.
And I've kind of come to the conclusion that things are going to go wrong no matter what.
Yep.
And like how you react to them, how you handle them, you know, it's only going to make it worse with inside you and not like the situation. And so, you know, really at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do better is to just handle issues with poise. And
well said.
Yeah, and so at the end of the day too, like when the day's over, I'm a little bit more even keel.
Yeah.
You know, it's better to do. You know, family time is a lot easier. It's just, you know, you can't help but think about you know, things that go wrong. But I think in the moment when things go wrong, your reaction really is kind of a key indicator of how the rest of your day is going to go.
So one of the things that I think he talks about, and that I totally agree with, is giving yourself permission to be negative for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, you know, you can dwell on it, you can be emotional about it, you can be pissed about what's going on, but after that, it's pretty much a choice to stay miserable, right? I mean, you know, pain is inevitable, but misery is a choice, right? So what is the ritual what are you starting to do to get yourself out of that mindset where, you know, how do you change your state?
Breathing techniques are ultra important.
Right.
And if you're out there and you're like, well, you know, what are some, you know, how do you do breathing techniques? There's apps out there that help you do it. Because I had no clue.
Right.
And so there's some apps out there that help you do that. And then obviously exercising your mind, exercising your body, your soul. I mean, it's just, you know, those things just help you get through the day. Like today I have not exercised yet.
Right.
So I will today at some point, but not yet.
You're right. Isn't it amazing how when we start to get stressed, what I'm working on is really, instead of stopping doing the things that make us better, doing it more, right? You know, it's like, you know, we don't read because we think we're busy doing work. We don't do our devotion because we think we've got too much stuff on our plate. We don't do exercise because we cheat our body to you know, create more, produce more, right? What the hell is wrong with us that we just think that's the way to fix it?
Yeah.
I mean,
laziness.
Well, I mean, is it laziness or is it just? Do we have to?
Exercise is.
Exercise. I kind of agree with you, but here's what I'm going to challenge you on. I think it's really getting to the point where you believe you're worthy for it.
Yeah, or that it really helps you.
Yeah.
You know, believing that it really helps you.
Right.
You know, my wife, she doesn't exercise, but she eats really, really, really well.
Okay.
And I'm still like, you know, get those endorphins going. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, once you get done doing that, like, it's just something that just goes in, like, it's just what's going inside your body and your brain and all that. Like, you just feel better.
Yeah.
You know? So, but yeah, I think, you know, each day, you know, it's very hard. Once you get into a habit,
Yeah.
it becomes like something you really need.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not that, and then also, like, if you start doing it with a friend or with a partner, the accountability to go, you know, exercise and get things going. I mean, that's a huge thing too.
Yeah, so we worked with a psychologist that was doing research out at IU actually, and he had broken down what makes successful people. He'd done like almost a Gallup study on 50,000 people on their brain activity and what makes them successful and not. And he got it down to, he actually set out to disprove the self-improvement industry. He didn't like Tony Robbins. He was like pretty negative on all that stuff. And you know, he thought it was all rah-rah because he's a formerly trained psychologist. What it came down to is he found three components. One was that people had to deem themselves worthy to do the work that it took to accomplish their goal, and they had to pay the price ahead of time. So what that means, and you know, just to kind of break it down, is like if you want to be fit, are you really willing to get to the gym 4 days a week? Are you really willing to eat the way you need to eat? Are you really willing to do that? Will you pay the price? And just have that conversation up front. Is it worth it? Because I think a lot of us, we don't really have that conversation, right? We're like, well, we know we need to do more of this, but we don't say, am I really willing to eat vegetables every day?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been struggling with whether or not I want to become a vegetarian, right? Because am I really willing to pay the price of giving up meat? I mean, that's a big one, right?
Yeah.
And so you got to ask yourself, are you really willing to pay the price? The second thing is, these people have a big, hairy, audacious goal. Something that they want to accomplish. It's kind of like what we've been working on here. BHAG, right? The big, hairy, audacious goal. And so those two things are in relation. And I've had those things for years. And I can tell you, like, I used to go for a decade of my life. I was into self-development, and I would set these goals and never make them happen. Never make it happen. I'd set a goal, wouldn't happen. And I think it's because the third thing. And the third thing that he talks about is great people, the highest performing people. He studied CEOs, professional athletes. They understand how to stay calm under pressure, which goes your breathing, right? I mean, I think that's so powerful. Like, how many times do we let our brain take over and just panic the shit when we just need to stay calm during what we're trying to get done? I mean, does that relate to you at all?
Yeah, and you know, the breathing techniques don't always come to first thought either.
Right, yeah.
You know, and so, and I'm new to all this for sure. And, you know, as you continue to grow your business, as you continue to add employees, as you continue to get into different endeavors, there's just more stuff on your plate, which opens up your life to, you know, more problems. And
the problems get bigger.
They get bigger. Yeah, they get bigger.
Yep. And as you guys have got bigger, your problems have got bigger, right?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there's you know, there's multiple things that hit my plate on Friday that you know, that I need to work through. The key thing though is like, if you let those big problems, if you let those big problems enter into your business without having, you know, setting up your business process, systems, people. That handle like the current business, like that's going to affect, like if you're going into other business ventures, that's going to affect your current business and your current flow. You know, luckily we have a team inside the wholesaling business that is handled now, allows me to do some other things, and you know, some of the issues that have come up are from the other things.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things we've learned in your business, and this is something that we've been working on with businesses for over 2 decades, is like, if you've got a system, that if you've designed what the output is supposed to be, then and you can educate people to that, then they know whether or not there's a variable there that is wrong, right? If you're just preaching at your people saying this is not the way I would do this, then all you're doing is preaching, and quite honestly, it's mostly pretty annoying, right? And so part of the reason we talk about systems, and this is funny because he talks about this too, is like if you have a system for fitness, right? If you have a system for eating, all being a vegetarian is a system for eating, right? It's you decided that you're going to eat these things instead of those things. in business, we have to put these systems in because they create consistent outputs, so we can deal with the variables, so we can predict what the problems are going to be. And that's what you've been doing really as you've scaled and grown. Is that fair?
Yeah.
And so as we put these systems in, we see what we need to add to the system. Because I think what's wrong, what a lot of people do is I think they really have a hard time in business just starting with the beginning of a system. Let's put we call it a straw man. Let's put a straw man together and let's see where the variables are going to break and not break, right? Let's at least decide with intention what that needs to be. And we've been doing that with your business now for 3 years. And as we've decided, the things evolved, right? Talk about some of the evolution that you've seen.
Just from a standpoint of growth, being able to have systems and processes that have naturally allowed you to grow. So it's allowed you to get more confident in the money that you spend. That's not on yourself.
Yeah.
That's actually on the business.
Or other people delivering a value.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And business partners and more marketing, more, business coaches. And like, it's a big deal. And, and once you get all that stuff set up, what I've found is there's just a confidence level because there's KPIs involved that allow you to truly understand the numbers within your business. And so because of that, there's just, what you can spend to make X, and so that's been a huge transition for me, as opposed to just me running and gunning and, thinking I made money.
Well, you went from, I think when I look at your business, you went from like a top producer to an entrepreneur. And an entrepreneur is someone that uses resources for X and produces Y results out of it, right? You're always looking for how do I take $1 to create 5, and that's true entrepreneurial mindset. A lot of people get into business and they buy a job. Yeah. I think a lot of the people that get in your franchise have bought jobs, right? Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. That hey, you want freedom, freedom, right?
Yeah.
Which is a is a misnomer out there, right? You want your freedom. You want to be your own boss, which is another thing. Like you're really never your own boss, right? But you have this idea that this is what you're doing. But the mindset shift to go from, hey, I bought a business, I work for a crazy person, he or she beats the hell out of me and doesn't pay me enough, is 100% different than the mindset of being an entrepreneur, isn't it? And I think what I've watched you guys do is like the ability of the problems you've been able to handle have changed. Like, when I started my business, a 3-figure problem was a big deal, right? I think I borrowed $1,000 to put $500 in my checking account, that kind of thing, right? And then after a while, you get to the 4-figure problem, and then you get to a 5-figure problem. Then you start to see 6- and 7-figure problems that you can handle. You get through them. You've been able to do that. Your confidence level comes up, right? And is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, and the ability to have people on your team is a huge. Allows you to be able to handle those bigger problems. And so it's a growth pattern. And it's okay too, like to be a one-man show.
Nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it, and you're gonna have your own issues there. Like, you're so busy you can't even see your family. Those type of problems, which. That happens a lot because you're working 7 days a week, 10 hours a day.
Your voicemail's so full that no one can get in your voicemail.
You can't, and so you got clients you're trying to get back to, and, there's those problems, and then you have, you have problems where you have so many people on your team you can't even afford them anymore. You have those problems too.
Been on both sides of that.
So, there's first world problems.
Right, first world problem.
So, but I think that as I've grown, my business has totally taken those types of transitions and changes.
This is funny that we're leaning into this because we always joke about this. It's like, why? Why are you going to change? Why do you want to take on those problems? What is like? I have a buddy that we're working to get together, to talk about some coaching, and he's producing probably for himself in a one and a half man band with an assistant, $2 to $3 million a year. This guy is a top producer, and he is really got a global effect in his business. He is brokering and selling internationally, high-end muscle cars. And one of the reasons I'm really interested in his business is because I love what he does. But he is a 1.5 man band. And so the question, he knows he wants to grow, but he doesn't know why. And I'm like, hey, dude, you have a great gig, but until you figure out why, let's not have that conversation. You know, and knowing that you just want to grow and you want to do more, that's not a really good enough reason to give up this life to do this other life. Because the gap of taking on employees, building a system, it's not one for the weak at heart, right? There is a reason why you built this thing to be as lean and as mean as it is, and maybe that's just okay, which I think could be 100% okay for him. Until you have a reason to do something, until you have a reason to reach beyond what you're comfortable in, you've got to really understand. I think that's why it comes back to that BHAG, right?
Yeah.
And so at some point in time, whatever that level is, I mean, the estimate is right now we only need $75,000 a year to really live comfortably in this country, right? I mean, it's not something that it's not something you and I would want, but a lot of people have done a lot of research on that, right? I do think after you get to a certain amount of money, you have to have a bigger reason than money, probably even whether it's related to your faith, what you're trying to do to contribute to your family, how you want to leave the world a better place. There has to be a why that's different. And you and I go round and round about this because you're not a why guy, I'm a why guy. We kind of talk about this related, but talk to me about what that means to you.
I wouldn't say I'm not a why guy.
Well,
but I'm pretty passionate. Your why can change.
Yes, for sure.
I mean, constantly. And there's people out there that say no. Once you set it, you leave it.
Yeah, right.
And I have a problem with that. So I look at kind of the business that we're in, and it's like for us in our business, we have there's a 20-year window here where baby boomers are starting to retire. And that means 60, 70-year-olds have been living in their homes for 30 and 40 years and done nothing to these homes. And they're paid off. And so you have a 20-year window there where you're going to see lots of opportunities to buy distressed housing at very, very good prices. As a result, and because of what happened in 2008, there has you've seen millennials and kind of our group have seen what happened to our parents and grandparents, and we're like, we're not going to let corporate America affect dictate whether we're going to retire.
I can't depend on my 401k. No. There's no such thing as a pension anymore. I mean, have you seen that?
Yeah.
I mean,
so because of that, there's an opportunity here within the real estate space that has presented itself over the last 10 years. That's huge. I mean, you see it all over the place. And so we're in a business now that's very scalable that, when you jump into something, I'm starting to now really believe in it. There's opportunities there to really grow this. It's a unique opportunity that a select few people will take advantage of in a big way.
And the reason I like your business and in general, like what we're doing here is not only that. So there's these people that need it. There's this huge market opportunity where we can leverage to create a business model, right? But then there's all those people out there that are also in the the millennial and up generation. I mean, obviously I'm not a millennial, but that have a little bit more gray, little white hair, that have lost half of their income or their savings in the stock market, that have been sold. I mean, sold a lot of bill of goods by the financial markets that a mutual fund money manager was going to take care of them, which is fine if you got time to be in it for 30 years. But a lot of these people haven't invested, they haven't saved enough, they have lived disproportionately on their income versus their savings. I mean, there was a lot of people like for the last decade that are planning on having dual incomes and now have one, right? I mean, and so what's happened is there's a lot of these 50-somethings that are looking 6 and 7 years out, and they've got to create enough to retire if they can. And I think there's a lot more pressure to do more in a faster window, which is the type of people you guys are serving on the other side too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And to kind of go back to the why deal is, I think because of what's happened over the last decade, people's whys have truly changed to more of lifestyle design. Where people want to, not so much live where they work, but they, where you can live wherever you want and work for somebody, or travel and work. And you've seen more entrepreneurs. People become entrepreneurs in the last decade. So I think, at least for me, it used to be, creating a business that's, a lifestyle design business.
Yep.
And I was okay with that. But now, as I continue to grow my business and mature, like I see there's more opportunities out there. So my why is much bigger than just that.
Yep.
People may say, may not know what their why is right now, but they're still working for a cause. And that's the hard part for me, is to really pin down what the why is. But I'm still working for a cause.
Well, I mean, I think you if you go to the website and you go our first core value is freedom, right? I mean, I think what we do on both sides is we're helping people be free of something, an asset that that has really now become cumbersome to them, and they're trying to have a lifestyle that they want to have going
free
forward.
of your past,
right?
Yeah, doesn't have to be. It can be whatever,
right?
It can be whatever,
yep.
And mine is very personal to me and free of whatever it was and whatever it is, and not so much of improper investments, but more bigger things than just so.
Well, I think the lifestyle that you want. I mean, right, being able to work and live the way you want, that's a much more accepted value today. And I'm gonna throw something in here that I'm gonna throw at you, and I think it's called. I really think it's the Uber factor. And what I mean by that is, like, today we have this gig economy that didn't exist with 5-10 years ago, or really 15 years ago. There was no such thing as a gig economy. If you lost a job 15 years ago, you were kind of panicking. You needed to find a job. You had to plan a year, 18 months to be out of that job. The barriers to entry to start a business today, to get a job, if you're as a boss, and you're employing somebody that makes $35,000 to $45,000 to $55,000 a year, that person can go get a job with Uber, and they can work as much as they want, and they can make damn near $60,000, $70,000 a year, right? So you can't afford to be a jerk anymore. I think the other thing that's happening with this freedom that you talk about is not everything happens on the coast anymore. Right? Indianapolis has got a great market that is exploding from the technology. If you go downtown, we are doing some incredible things. We've got technology startups happening, but so is Austin, so is Houston, so is Minneapolis is blowing up. So St. Louis was like an armpit like 6-7 years ago. I mean, not to be mean, but it is now. It's got certain markets that are growth, and what also has happened in some of these cities like St. Louis is that there's this rebirth, this regentrification where, hey man, I can as an employer, I can afford 30% lower cost per labor, 30% lower cost per maintaining my office, maintaining my headquarters, and I can compete nationwide. I compete globally. Yeah. And that's happening to a lot of the Rust Belt, a lot of the flyover states, which is also tying it back, creating some incredible opportunity for guys like you who are looking at these markets different. And when you can watch a neighborhood go through transformation, there's this place in St. Louis called The Loop, and this one guy had this vision for this. He owned a restaurant there, and then he opened another restaurant, and it has all this neon type theme, diner kind of things, and the whole area is transforming. It has gone from being in 10, 15 years, being like one of the areas you were scared to go in St. Louis, to being one of the nicest up and coming markets that's getting $350,000 to $400,000 for a decent sized home. One person's vision of that change can make that. And I think that's what you guys are doing when you think about what happened downtown Indy, what's going on in the 38th Street down corridor. I mean, that whole transformation. These are markets where one or two persons' visions are changing the economic direction of a city. And that's part of the things that you guys are doing at any given time. And that's just one investor who's got an idea, a dream, and a vision for a city. When you think about how business, just by the democratization of business in general, by the fact that we now have access more and more in order to make the change we can, that's kind of the freedom that we're talking about. It's like, it's not that we want everybody to get into real estate investing. It's just like, hey, here's another way, a better way sometimes for you to put your time, your energy, and money. And that's what I see us doing with with the people we're trying to help on both sides. Is that fair? Absolutely. So that was kind of our topic for today, is kind of back, really getting your head around, hey man, if you're willing to commit whatever it takes to something, with unwavering faith, right? With unwavering faith, and then you're able to combine that with unlimited effort. You can make pretty much anything you want to happen in your world. There's your formula for miracle, and that's what's really powerful about kind of what's been going on in our lives and what we're trying to teach everybody else out there. Yeah. So, thanks for getting galvanized.